Okay, I think we can get started. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Understanding Plagiarism and APA Citation workshop. My name is Suman Gurum, and I'm your NCT librarian. And Neha, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neha and I'm the library coordinator, and we are really excited to start this workshop.
Thanks, Neha. So before we get started, we can kind of cover an agenda that we'll be going over today. So we're going to be looking at what plagiarism is exactly, the different types of plagiarism, how to avoid plagiarism, and then we're going to be going into an introduction to citation and the importance of citing your sources. We'll then look at in-text citation and how to make works cited lists, and then we'll take a look at a closer look at the formatting for citations. And then we'll provide you with some resources to support your understanding of citation and referencing your work. And then we'll end the session with a really fun quiz to test your knowledge.
So let's start the workshop by understanding plagiarism. So, firstly, I will define what is plagiarism. So, plagiarism refers to the deliberate utilization of another person's words or ideas without appropriately acknowledging the original author. Improper or insufficient citation typically characterizes plagiarism when you are using facts or research presented in a paper without citing them, when you are using an author's ideas about a certain topic without citing him or her, or if you are intentionally copying from another source such as a textbook, another person's essay, or from any internet source. So let me show you a video where the student is talking about her real experience of plagiarizing his her assignment and what are the consequences of that.
For my assignment on business models, I used some of the slides from a lecture. I didn't see a problem with this. The lecturer had uploaded the slides onto Canvas and made them available. The lecturer said they would be useful for this particular assignment, so I took a few points from the slides and added these to my assignment. I assumed this was okay, and I have to admit that I copied some of the text in the slides directly and didn't bother to explain in my own words. It was hard to try to paraphrase something when it was already explained so well in the slides. I couldn't think of a better way to say it. Anyway, the lecturer noticed that and said I should have at least referenced her slides. The lecturer also mentioned that other parts of my assignment were directly copied from a journal article. This was picked up by Turnitin. I was surprised. I didn't think Turnitin would find that stuff. And it just finds any quotes anyway. So what's the point? Because of this, I ended up losing 20% of my marks and I got a warning from my course coordinator. This warning stays on my academic record. They told me this was an academic integrity breach and that if anything like this happened again, I could end up with a more severe penalty under the student conduct policy. I remember a student saying that if they stayed under a particular percentage of the Turnitin score, it wouldn't count as plagiarism. But unfortunately, it's still cheating, and it's unfortunate. A lot of students think the same. They do it a few times, and when they're actually caught, they realize how much of a penalty it is and how so not worth it is. Mainly because cheating is cheating. There are a lot of resources available. There's library resources, and I'm pretty sure academics also, they're more than willing to support students with issues around plagiarism. It's always better to learn as much as you can about student conduct, plagiarism, collusion, and all that stuff. Once you get the hang of things, how to reference. Once you know how it all works, what counts as stealing another person's ideas and what doesn't, that goes a long way, because once you practice, once you're in your third year, it just comes naturally. It's always good to be honest and submit what you can on time. Better safe than sorry.
Oh, Neha, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. So now we are going to talk about types of plagiarism. The first one is omitting in-text citations. It happens when students fail to include in-text citations. Sometimes students quote the text but has not included a citation, and when original source is not given credit. So let me show you an example. So here the original text says, it is not a fragment society, but exhibits the ideological diversity of European societies, although it has a more liberal cast. So you can see here they have mentioned the writer and name of the year and the page number as well. So how does it become a plagiarized text when you are going to write like this? It is said that in many ways Canada exhibits the ideological diversity of European societies. So here you can see that the author didn't give credit to the original source, or so this is an example of in-text citation of plagiarism. The next one is cut and paste plagiarism. So this happens when students copy text word for word from a source without giving credit to the original author. Students also gives the false impression that this is his or her own thinking, when in fact it came from another source. So the example is the text is the same, so I'm not going to repeat the again, but how it becomes a plagiarized text when you are going to write like this: Canada, unlike the United States, did not stop importing ideological developments from Europe when it was founded. It is not a fragment society, but exhibits the ideological diversity of European societies, although it has a more liberal cast. So here you can see that the line which has been marked in bold or underlined, you can see that the author directly took this line from the original text and didn't change anything, and it is just a cut and paste example of cut and paste plagiarism. So the next one is paraphrase plagiarism. So this happens when students copy the source too closely in their paraphrases, either by copying too many of the original words or by copying the original structure too closely. Even though the student has cited the source, if he or she has copied two phrases word for word without using quotation marks, then it is an example of paraphrase plagiarism. This misleads readers, suggesting that the wording and structure are the student's own. So let me give you an example. So here the example original text, the example of the original text is the same, so I'm not going to repeat it, but the plagiarized text, how it is an example of paraphrase plagiarism. So you can see that here they have mentioned Christian and Campbell have noted that, unlikely the United States, Canada is not a society that has broken away from ideological developments in Europe, but even it has a more liberal cast. It demonstrates the ideological diversity of European societies. So they have paraphrased what has been written there in the original text, but they didn't mention. So, and like you can see that there are similar words, they have taken the similar words from the original text, that the ideological diversity of European societies. So it's an example of paraphrase plagiarism. The fourth one is self-plagiarism, and such type of plagiarism occurs when students submit the same academic work for credit in more than one course. And how is this going to happen? When you are going to reuse your material in this way, and it is considered as dishonest, because in both situations reader expect the material to be new and not recycled. So many times it happens in your course, like you are going to study same subjects or same as going to give same topic. You have been given the same topic in your assignment, but you can't submit the same assignment in two different courses. Every time it has to be different. So you can also avoid plagiarism. So how can you avoid the plagiarism? Turnitin, you can use the Turnitin software, which checks the originality of work submitted. It also acts as a plagiarism prevention service, which checks your writing for citation, mistakes, or inappropriate copying. And when a paper is submitted by a student, Turnitin compares it to text in its massive database of student work websites, books, and articles, etc. So, what happens if when you are going to submit your article, when you are going to check how much a paper is plagiarized? So, what you can do, you can it cannot only check the paper of Niagara College students. It is going to check the papers of all the students who have submitted, like not only from the Niagara College Toronto, like it will include all the colleges like York University, Centennial, so all the colleges it will include. Grammarly. So Grammarly also offers a free citation generating tool in the APA, MLA, and Chicago style formats. And a citation generator is a web-based tool designed for swiftly creating precise citations. To use a no-cost citation generator, input details about the source as such as its title, authors, and relevant page numbers. This generator will promptly generate a citation based on the information provided. And then you will get the option to select the desired citation format, which are MLA, AP, or Chicago, and specify whether you want an in-text or full citation. So this is how these softwares would help you to avoid plagiarism in your assignments or research papers. Now over to Suman.
Thanks, Neha. So now we'll be looking at the APA style citation guide. So what is citation? A citation is an idea, a piece of information, or picture that is used in a work and tells the reader where it first appeared in the paper. An in-text reference acknowledges the information source in the paper's main body, and references are gathered on a references or works cited list at the end of an essay or a research paper. So as you can see here, we have an example of an in-text citation that is following the APA style. So where the citation is indented 5 to 7 spaces. It begins with the author's last name, the year, the date it was published, and then the title and where it was accessed from. So in this case, it was a website. So this includes the URL address of the source. So why is citation important? And why is it critical to cite your sources? So students are required to properly cite any information sources used in their assignments or papers. And every time you use information or ideas from other sources that are not your own words, you must indicate where that source, you must indicate that source or where the information came from using citations. Failing to properly cite is considered academic misconduct and may result in serious consequences. You can also consult your Be Academic Integrity Ready module to learn more about what constitutes academic integrity violations. And I just really want to stress why citation is important. As you can see here from the image, it's important to give credit where credit is due. So if you take someone else's work and try to pass it off as your own, that's it's considered stealing. So it's important to really acknowledge where that information came from, and it's important to recognize the consequences of plagiarizing are very serious. So it's important to really cite your sources. So this is the APA citation, 7th edition quick style guide. So APA, first of all, stands for the American Psychological Association. Um, so according to this citation style, there are requirements for various different areas, including font. So to make sure you check your assignment instructions and identify the font requirements. Some of the sample fonts that are widely used in colleges and universities include the 12-point Times New Roman, the 11-point Arial, the 11-point Calibri, and the 10-point Lucida. We want to keep our margins at a 1 inch on the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. And we also want to include a page number on the top right header. So this is just an example of a title page done in APA style. You can see here there is a page number in the top right. We have our title here. There is a space between the title and the author. And then we have some information here about the course, the instructor, and everything is double spaced as well. Sorry about that. It's it's one back. Yes, so just to go over that one more time, the line spacing, the paper should be double spaced except for the title page. Again, there should be it should be double spaced, but there should be an additional blank line between the title and the author's name. And again, we want to make sure that our paragraphs are indented by 1/2 inch, and we can use the tab key for this. So in-text citations, I'm sure you've heard this term. What are in-text citations and why do we use them? So in-text citations identify the information source and they can be added inside the body of your paper and assignment. They identify the exact sentence, quote, or idea and enables readers to easily identify when you've used a source of information. These must be included each time you use a source. It's not enough to just list out all your sources at the end of your paper. So these are some various citation styles depending on how many authors wrote the original work. So for one author, we have parenthetical citation and narrative citation. Um, so for one author, we put the author's last name for parenthetical citation, sorry, in brackets and we separate it by a comma and then we include the date. For a narrative citation, we are including the author's name, and then we're only including the year in parentheses. For two authors, it would be Hilton and Lee, comma, the year. And then the same thing for a narrative citation. With three or more authors, because we don't want to be repetitive and keep listing out all the authors' names, because there can be anywhere from 3 to who knows, maybe there's 10. But we don't want to add so many names. So when it starts to get to 3 or more, we like to use a term, a Latin term called et al. So you would use the first author's name, and then you would use et al to kind of indicate that there's more than 3 authors. And then we would again separate that by a comma, and then we would include the year. So for a group of authors, and a group can refer to an organization or a professional body, something like that. Um, the first time we use a citation or we refer to them in our paper, we're going to spell out the entire name of the organization or body. So in this case, it would be the American Psychological Association. But in brackets, we are indicating that there is an abbreviation that is more commonly used, which in this case, it's APA. So we would indicate that in closed brackets. Then again, we would separate that by comma and then include the year. Now, for subsequent citations, we only have to refer to the American Psychological Association as APA so that we don't have to keep repeating the long name. Now, for a organization without a shorter name, for example, here we have Niagara College Toronto, we would just spell out the name and then separate it by comma and then include the year. So here is a short video that I've included to kind of summarize and provide an overview of a more depth overview of in-text citations.
This is Humber Library's APA in Minutes. This video will show you the basics on how to create an in-text citation in APA format so that it will look something like this, or this. Any time that you paraphrase or quote someone else's words or ideas within the body of your paper, you must give credit to the original author with an in-text citation. An in-text citation is a short citation that refers the reader to the full reference at the end of a paper. A basic in-text citation will commonly include the author's last name, year of publication, and the page number where the information was found. When quoting an author's exact words, place quotation marks around the text, then include your in-text citation. Begin with the author's last name, comma, the year of publication, comma, and the page that the text was found on, preceded by the letter P and a period. Surround in parentheses, and always place your period after your in-text citation. If you summarize an author's ideas using your own words, this is a paraphrase. A paraphrase still requires an in-text citation. When paraphrasing, you do not include quotation marks. Following a paraphrase, begin your in-text citation with the author's last name, comma, the year of publication, then surround in parentheses. Always place your period after your in-text citation. It's important to note that page numbers are not necessary when paraphrasing. So far, our examples of a paraphrase and a direct quote have had the author's name and date in parentheses at the end of the sentence. This is what APA refers to as a parenthetical in-text citation. Alternatively, you can use a narrative citation. As this example shows, when you mention the author's name in a sentence, always include the date of publication after the name. Place the page number in parentheses at the end of your sentence, followed by a period to complete the in-text citation. You do not need to repeat the author's name or date. For two authors, use an ampersand after the first author's name if it appears in parentheses. When you are using the two authors' names in a sentence, you should use the full word and. For three or more authors, follow the first author's name with the words et al. Followed by a period, meaning and others. If there's no known author, include a shortened title in place of the author's name. If your source does not include page numbers, indicate the paragraph where you found the information by using the abbreviation para followed by a period. Your reference list will be on its own page at the end of your paper and will contain the full citation information. Make sure to put your citations in alphabetical order. Don't forget to double space and indent after the first line. For more information and support with APA, book an appointment with the Writing Centre, consult the OWL at Purdue, or refer to the APA resources available at Humber Libraries.
So I hope that helped you understand a little bit more about the in-text citation and the difference between the narrative and the parenthetical citations and how you should cite when you have multiple authors. Um, Now we can look at a references and works cited list. So a reference list must appear at the end of your paper. It consists of a list of sources you've cited in your paper and is intended to provide the readers with information needed to find those sources. A reference list usually has four key elements, and that includes the author, the date, the title, and the source. And this is just a short little clip of one of our instructors at NCT, kind of just going over a works cited list and how to properly format it.
All right, so you guys wanted to know how to format your references in hanging indent and how to alphabetize your references. All right, it's simple and easy. What you're going to do is we are going to select all the references that we have, and we will go to paragraph. On Mac, you can do it by right click, go to paragraph. Then you see here where it says special, click on this drop down. It says hanging, and then line spacing, because your line spacing has to be double. So we'll have to pick double here. That's it. And you're going to click OK. So now you see all your references are in hanging indent the way it should be. But they are not alphabetized. All these references need to be alphabetized. So what we are going to do again, we are going to select all the references because we need to put all of them in alphabetical order. And you see on the top here where it says A to Z, you will click on this and leave paragraph the way it is, and then you're going to click on OK. And all your references are alphabetized. It's as simple as that.
Awesome. So now this brings us to the quiz portion of our workshop. So our first question is, and feel free to pop your answers into the chat. The first question is, a student is creating presentation slides for a history class. As they are putting together the slides, they realize that they didn't make a note of the sources where their quotes came from. The student does their best to create the citations, although they had to guess some of them. Would this be considered plagiarism? True or false? Let's press yes. Yes, it's true. This would be considered plagiarism. So omitting or misrepresenting your sources, even if it's not intentional, would be considered plagiarism. So a good way or a tip around this would be to cite or write down your sources as you go along. And I know this actually really worked for me when I was in university and I had to write research papers. The amount of sources that I needed to include, it was just so much easier and a really good practice to create the citation as I wrote my paper. And it helped me build my works cited list alongside while writing this paper. And it was just so much easier to pull the citation from and create an in-text citation on top of that. So it is a good practice to do that as you go along.
Okay, the next question is, a student is working on a project for a business course. Coincidentally, the student wrote an essay on a similar topic in a course that they took last semester. The student copies some paragraph from their past coursework into their project. Since the paragraph only contained their original ideas, the student decides not to cite their essay. Would this be considered plagiarism? You can write your answers in the chat box. Yes, it is considered plagiarism. And why? Uh, because even if the paragraphs were the student's original work, reusing or recycling an assignment could be considered plagiarism. Specifically, it is a form of self plagiarism. A major part of doing research is creating original work and contributing your own ideas to further build on the knowledge on a topic. If you plan to refer to previous coursework, always check with an instructor first to see if this is permitted. Suman, you have to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. A student wants to use a sentence from a journal article in their research essay. The student pastes the sentence into their essay and replaces two of the words with synonyms. They follow the sentence with an in-text citation for paraphrased material and include a full citation in their reference list. Would this be considered plagiarism? Yes, it would be considered plagiarism. Um, Paraphrasing involves understanding what the authors wrote and then using your own words to describe those same ideas. So, changing up a few words or rearranging some of the words from a source is not paraphrasing. So, a tip for this would be if the author's words are really strong and powerful and you just can't restate them using your own words, just put them into quotations instead because it's better to cite it than try to pass it off as your own and then get caught for plagiarism and have to deal with all those consequences. Just when in doubt, just always put quotations, sorry, a citation.
So the next question is for their infographic assignment, a student takes a graph based on data that they found from different websites. Since they created the graph, the student doesn't think they need to cite the websites and submits the infographic. Is this considered plagiarism? Yes, it is considered plagiarism, and the reason behind that, because you need to give credit to the authors of the sources that you are using in your coursework or in your assignment. Otherwise, it would be considered plagiarism.
A student copies and pastes a sentence from a report into their presentation. They surround the sentence with quotation marks and include an in-text and reference list citations. Would this be considered plagiarism? No, our first no. It would not be considered plagiarism. The student has appropriately given credit by including the in-text and reference list citations. By surrounding the sentence with quotation marks, the student is also indicating that they're using the author's words.
So my next question is, which of the following options can support you to ensure you understand and follow academic integrity? So the options are your instructor, the college librarian, the college academic advisor, and all of the above. Yes, it's all of the above. We are all are here to help you and make sure that you understand the academic integrity.
What is academic integrity? To add references of resources used in an assignment, to give credit to someone's work, to cite the resources in your assignment, or all of the above? Yes, all of the above.
Okay, so the next question is, what does the abbreviation APA stand for? American Psychological Association, Atlantic Psychological Association, American Physiological Association, African Physiological Association. I think it's very easy, and since we are talking a lot about APA, so it's American Psychological Association.
Where do page numbers appear in an assignment or academic paper? Is it in the bottom right footer? Is it in the top right header? Is it in the top left header? Or is it in the bottom left footer? So A, B, C, or D. We have a top right header. Yes, you're correct.
Hmm.
It is in the top right header.
Okay, the next question is, what line spacing you should you use for all text in an APA style paper? 1.5 spacing, B single spacing, C half spacing, and D double spacing. Yes, it's D double spacing.
What Latin term meaning and others is used in both narrative and parenthetical in-text citations? Is it et al, is it alet, at el, or el at? We have an et al. Yes, you are correct. It is et al.
Okay, the next question is, if you are not sure about academic rules, the best option is to A option, ask the librarian. B, copy your friend's work. C, ask your seniors. And D, ask your peers. Yes, it's ask the librarian. We are here to help you.
And I think this brings us to our last question. So which of the following manuals is the official source for the APA style citation? Is it the APA style citation guide 7th edition? Is it the publication manual of the American Psychological Association 7th edition? Is it a guide to the APA style citation 6th edition? Or how to do citation in APA citation style 7th edition? I know they're all a mouthful, but all right, let's take a stab at it. Yes, it's the publication manual of the American Psychological Association, 7th edition. So this brings us to the end of our workshop. We want to leave any room for any questions. Um, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. I've also included some information about the library here. If you ever want to get in touch with the library, our email address is library@niagaracollegetoronto.ca. I've also put a QR code here. If you scan this, it will lead to our NCT library page. And from that page, you can visit our library catalog, and we have a lot of information about the library on that page as well. But you can also search the library catalog to see what we have in our collection, the different books. You can place holds. You can also find out about our events. We'll be at the Clubs Fair tomorrow at the Mervish campus. Um, I'm at Mervish every Wednesday to as a part of our mobile library services, and then we also have our English conversation circle every other Wednesday. So if you don't have any questions, or if you have questions later that come to you, please get in touch with library services through this email address. And if you have any questions or would like more resources on APA citation, or you maybe today you didn't really understand something or you wanted to learn more, please just hop into the library anytime you can, or just shoot an email and you can set up an appointment with us anytime. Thank you very much and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.